Okay, so we've talked about conditionals now, so let's see them in action. This is going to be a video with a small project that you might want to try out and modify for yourself that I'm giving to one of my classes to practice conditionals. So, to start out, let's make a new class. We'll call it Robot Depot. And you can make, the idea is that you have some sales aspect to this, some restaurant that maybe you're, running or managing, or some robot depot, or even a choose your own adventure game that works well additionally. So let's start off. A very simple game or idea. And we'll start out first. We're definitely going to be taking user input, so I'm going to create a scanner. I'm going to instantiate a new scanner. Scanner, we'll call it input equals new scanner, and we're taking from standard input. Make sure to import the scanner library, or the util library, the scanner class. And here we are going to discuss sort of how I might set up something like a restaurant menu and include some things like pricing and printing out user choices, taking user choices, and just making some simple little game out of it. So first, I'm going to do a few things. First, I'm going to print store information. I'm going to print a menu, or a list of choices, or options. Then I'm going to take user input for their choices, and then I'm going to process the choices. And a couple of these can happen concurrently. There are a few ways to go out of this, or go about this. Finally, I might print out summary. Okay, so that's generally what's going to happen. So to start out, I'm going to print out my store information. I'm going to use some standard print statements. The goal here is to practice some string formatting, just basic commands that make your storefront look pretty. So, for instance, I'll print, welcome to the Robot Depot. Okay. Or perhaps I'll just not even do that quite yet. Perhaps I'll just have the name of the store. Maybe I'll have a tabulation beforehand. And then I'll do something a little further. I'm going to say, oh, hey, the best place for all your robot goods. Okay, so something super boring like that, system.out.println. And here I'm going to do maybe a little bit of a header just to make it look a little more interesting. Okay, so I'll do something like that. Maybe I'll add another. I'll go here. And perhaps I'll change this text, just make it a little nicer. In this case, chainsaws, rocket boots, and oh, what's something else robots like? Gearboxes, let's say. We'll just say chainsaws, rocket boots, and gearboxes. Let's say engines. And we'll limit this a little bit. We'll just have some nice little formatting. And then maybe I'll copy this and paste it so I have this little banner. And what does this look like? Well, if I run this, right now I get this robot depot thing. So I'm going to make another tab, run it again, and you'll see it's sort of centered. It looks pretty good. I could always, change this to maybe a few spaces, see what prints out. Maybe it's a little more centered that way. And then I can say down here, okay, down here I might say, what is your concern? Or let's say what needs fixing? Okay, and then I can have my menu. Maybe I'll have an option for 1, drivetrain. Maybe I'll have 2, bodywork. And maybe I'll have system 3, upgrades. Okay, so I'll run this again, and you'll notice all I'm doing is printing out information. But now it looks like I have a bit of a menu. So you're at the robot depot. We have chainsaws, rocket boots, and engines. That's our motto. And I'm asking you what needs fixing. This is going to be a really simple demonstration. You can have this as complicated as you want, as many options as you want, options in different sections. Let's say an appetizers, entrees, desserts, or a specific full menu about drivetrain, a full menu about bodywork, and a full menu about upgrades. And you can do that. I'll show you an example of doing that with a drivetrain in just a moment. So here, now I want to take in some user input. So maybe I'll say, maybe I'll have some sort of integer for user input. Maybe I want to take in numbers. So int choice, let's say first choice, menu choice, equals, and I'm going to set it to some scanner input. Input dot next int. So I'm using my scanner to take in the next integer typed. I'm saving it to this variable menu choice, and now I can process the menu choice. Now first, I might want to say choose a number. Okay, so let's process this menu choice. Right now, I can run this. It'll say choose a number. I can type in, let's say I want to do bodywork, and then the program ends because I haven't done anything. This is where I do my, I'm going to take this comment and paste it down here. So that's my menu. And now I'm taking user input. And now I'm going to process my choices. So processing the choices is going to look something like this. If menu choice equals 1. Why would it equal 1? Well, in this case, maybe someone chose drivetrain. So I'm going to say if they chose drivetrain, maybe I'll say print line, your engine sounds squealy. What, maybe it'll, I'll fix it for $500. And, now maybe I'll say, I could give them another choice, or I could just assume that they're going to pay it. So you might want to do something like have an integer for a total price. And I'll start out at 0, and then maybe here, or maybe not an integer, maybe I'll make it a double to take decimal input. And here I might say total price equals total price plus 500. Now another way to write this would be total price plus equals 500. But either way works. Either way does the exact same thing. This is just sort of a shortcut way of doing that. So now I've saved my total price. I want to have an option, else if menu choice equals 2. Maybe I'll put something else here. Maybe I'll say, for bodywork, you know, system.out.println a new spoiler will be $20. Okay, and we'll again we'll say total price. This time I'll use the plus equals terminology, 20. So what this is doing is the total price will keep a running log of everything that's going on. If I take multiple inputs, I can always modify it. Finally, else if menu choice equals 3, system.out.println, and I'll say choice 3 was upgrades. Those rocket boots rocket books are even better. Rocket boots are on clearance, 50 cents. This is the future after all. Everyone uses rocket boots. And so I'll say total price plus equals 0.5 or 0.50. Doesn't really matter. And then maybe at the bottom I can print out a summary. And I'll show you how to change this to a slightly more robust summary in just a moment. But at the bottom I'll say okay, now I'm going to say what a great day to stop by. You got some grinding deals. Okay, something boring like that. And we'll go forward and we'll say system.out.println your total was, and then maybe I'll say, oh, well, there was tax. So your total was total price times let's say it's 8% tax. Maybe I could always add a tip. I could change it to 1.28. Let's say 1.08. And if I run this, I'll see what needs fixing. Choose a number. Let's say I want upgrades. Your total was 54 cents. Those rocket boots are on clearance. 50 cents. What a great day to stop by. You got some grinding deals. If I wanted to go back and I wanted to add in maybe some receipt, string receipt equals an empty string. Now down here, what I could say is, your engine sounds squealy, I'll fix it. I could say that my receipt is equal to, maybe, or plus equals, I'll add to it, a new line, and it'll say engine work, and then maybe I'll add a tab character, and then I'll say 500. And then maybe I'll do the same thing in the other areas. Maybe instead I'll say, okay, well, instead of engine work this time, it's spoiler edition, and that would be $20. And down here, maybe I want to say this is rocket boots. Trademarked, of course, and that's 50 cents. Okay, and if I want to print that out, I'll say, something like this. and I'll add in maybe the receipt variable. So I made a string, I added in some stuff, and I'm using it as a receipt. If I have multiple things, I'll get multiple items on my receipt, and I'll show you that in just a moment. So bodywork, spoiler edition, 20 bucks. Your total was 21.6. If I run it again, and I'll say drivetrain, engine work, 500, your total was 540. And you can always add a $sign there. We can always do some number formatting if we really wanted to. Maybe 3 upgrades just to show. Rocket boots are 50 cents. Your total was 54 cents. You could say that tax was included, whatever. But you can take this and jump on it, expand it. You could take more input in each of these if statements. Maybe I want to say another if statement. I could always duplicate this again and again and again. I could always have multiple menus, multiple choices. I could have nested if statements like this. Instead of saying this, maybe I'll say engine tune-up. Maybe I'll have another choice. 1, engine tune-up. Maybe I'll have a second choice. Let's say new gearbox. And then maybe I'll have a third choice. That's just drive shaft. Drive shaft replacement. And again, I can do the same if statement thing. And I'm gonna remove this for now. I can do an if statement if I can take more input. So again, menu choice. I can update it on the fly. Equals input.nextInt. And I can say if menu choice equals 1, else if menu choice equals 2, else if menu choice equals 3. And here I can say things like, oh, well, you know, sort of the same idea. I can expand menu in here. So I can say, oh, instead of a spoiler, a new engine will be 500. And I know I'm not talking about new here, but this would be, I'm just modifying all my values. And you can see how this might be continued. There we go. Okay, so you can see that I have a whole bunch of stuff that I could add on. I could always add another menu down here. Maybe I'll copy this. Maybe I'll say something like, before you go, why not buy candy? And here, not just candy, robot candy. And then 1 would be nuts. Maybe I'll buy some bolts. That's the lemon flavored one. And maybe I will buy some oily residue. It's a little gross, but you know, it's all the rage with mini bots. And again, I could have some if, else, if statement where I get some menu choice here. And I could say if the menu choice is 1, you know, maybe I'll say nuts are for robots. And it'll be, you know, $3. And I'll add in nuts. Then I'll add that to be $3. And so on and so forth. And in this case, I could run this, and I could say what needs fixing. Maybe my drivetrain needs fixing. Oh, maybe I'll get an engine tune-up. Before you go, I'll buy nuts and bolts. I'll buy nuts, and you can see everything adds in. So that's a good example of how you can have something really robust just with some if-else statements. It ends up being how a lot of these online ordering services work. But you see the receipt has all the correct items. You can see the total adds up everything with tax, because $40 tax on this, 24 cents tax on that, and the 503. See you next time.